The STEM Society.
What's going on, my hip-hop socialites? It's me, Cole Jackson, and it's October. It's the 1st of October, so you know what that means. It's fourth quarter coming up. It's time to start choosing who's going to be MVP for 2024. I know, we still got another 3 months left, but we need to know. We need to see who's the front runner for hip-hop MVP of 2024. It's time. I've heard a whole bunch of conversations about different artists. I have 4 artists in mind that I'm going to talk about specifically. Now, we really want to know what artists have been consistent. We want to know who's been more efficient. We want to know who's really dominated this year. And this actually was way harder than what I thought it was. Now, I put together a short list. I just thought it would be super easy because I have really been going hard for one particular artist. But this is harder than what I thought it was going to be. So the criteria that I'm using for this whole thing is pretty easy. One thing is who has one of the best verses. Every artist that I talk about on this list, I'm most definitely pulling out what their best verse was to me. Body of work. When I say body of work, that includes albums and features that they dropped in this year, and who had a real true impact on music in 2024. Pretty easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's an easy thing to go with. It's a lot of artists who's put in work, but to me it's only 4 artists that really should get this credit. Now I want to give an honorable mention to Glorilla. She has been putting out great songs. She has 3 songs right now that's been in top 100 Billboard. So she's putting in work. Everything is everything, which is her mixtape that came out this year. Started off the year with that. One of my favorite mixtapes that came out this year. I think she did an amazing job, but I can't put her on the list because she doesn't have a debut album. Her debut album is supposed to drop in the next 2 weeks. So until I can actually see what she's going to do on this debut album, I'm going to hold off. Again, this is just up until now, so she could pop back up on the list. Who knows? And another person I want to give honorable mention to as well, Central C. Central C has been dropping great music this year. He has given us some great singles. He has given us great freestyles, but he doesn't have the album to back it up. He essentially is going to be dropping his debut album this year as well, and to be honest with you, I want to wait and see what happens when he drops his album. See if it has a crossover appeal that everybody thinks it's going to have. So, honorable mentions out of the way. Let's get to it. So the first person on my list, and these are not in any kind of order, Jid, my dark horse. Jid has been consistent this year. His best verse would have to be the Fuel verse on the Eminem album. He floated on that verse. He floated. Possibly out-rapped Eminem. Just saying. Jid has been super consistent on the features this year. He doesn't have really any kind of album that dropped, but look at his body of work this year. Praise God with French Montana, Fly Away with Lyrical Lemonade, Sundown with 21 Little Harold, Lights Out with Bia. He has a song with Katy Perry called Artificial. He has been consistent with all of his features. The only one that I think that doesn't really should be in that list that's any good, the Lights Out feature was just that song, you could have just threw the whole song away. The song was just not good. So my argument for him being MVP of 2024 is he's been consistent with dropping great features. His feature verses have been solid, all of them but one. But you got to think, Jid hasn't really put out a bad verse. Of course, his best verse is the one with Eminem, but he hadn't put out a bad verse this year. He could possibly be dropping an album. I know he announced on Twitter months ago that he had turned his album in, but we don't know when that's coming. We don't know when he's going to drop it. All we know is he turned it in. So who knows? If he doesn't drop an album this year, of course, it's going to take him away from the list. But Jid has really had a strong case of being an MVP this year. I call him the dark horse because, again, he hasn't been too much in the spotlight as much as a lot of other artists, but Jid has been giving us consistent stuff all year. Now, my argument against him, I'll say it again, not enough music. Even though he's giving us great features, it's been few and far between, and it feels like he kind of went down throughout the year. Like, it kind of feels like he kind of went quiet. Again, the Lyrical Lemonade, he started the year off with Lyrical Lemonade, and I thought, when I heard that verse, I was like, this nigga's about to kill everything this year. But we're in October, not a lot of buzz around him. He hasn't really made a super big impact, but I do respect the way that he has been putting out great features. So Jid, of course, is my dark horse for MVP of 2024. The next person, who for a lot of y'all would be a super obvious choice, but I beg to differ, Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar has had a hell of a year. He has been in the news all year long. I know it's a lot of it has to do with the Drake battle, but when you think about it, Kendrick Lamar has been very consistent with music this year. Now, the best verse of this year for me would be Euphoria. The Parkett Sun bar, very clever. The line where he drops the YNW Melly reference with 8 bars, clever. That's probably one of the most clever songs or clever rap schemes that I've heard out of a rapper in a very long time. He put that shit together and it sounded amazing. Now, if it's body of work, do I need to tell you? I mean, I'll tell you anyway, but like that with Future, Euphoria, 616 in LA, Meet the Grams, Not Like Us, Let the Party Die. He has dropped nothing but great singles this year. You might not be able to listen to it in the club, but I'm telling you, you'll be able to listen to it wherever else you are at. He's been the most non-visual person I've heard of this year, if that makes any sense. It just feels like Kendrick name's been looming around 2024 all year. My argument for him being an MVP, he's dominated the headlines, even with the Drake battle. He's consistently dropped music without an album, and Not Like Us has stayed in the top 10 in Billboard all of 2024 since the song dropped. It hasn't dropped out of top 10 yet. So, I mean, what else do I need to say about making an argument for him to be the MVP? But my argument against it is no album. He hasn't dropped not one album. Majority of his singles have been diss records. Now, Watch the Party Die was another very good record that he dropped, but low key, it was a diss to the industry. We haven't got a song that's not a diss per se. We're still looking for the Broccoli. Where the Broccoli song at? Looking for the Broccoli song. That song that came on right before the Not Like Us video. We are waiting for that song. So it's really one of those things where, yes, he's been consistent with music. Yes, he's dropped some bangers this year, but a lot of them is diss tracks. And honestly, we want an album. He hadn't even dropped the album. We know he's doing the Super Bowl in 2025, but album, sir, when's the album dropping? We haven't got a date. We haven't got anything alluding to when the album's gonna drop. So that's my argument against him being MVP. I can't wait to see the comments after this one. The next person up who I think should be MVP of this year, J. Cole. J. Cole has been rapping. Some people are prisoner of the moment so far after the T Grizzly verse that everybody's heard and to play the Collard Green song, but let me just tell you right now, J. Cole has still been rapping at a high clip. He's probably had one miss this year, but look at it. His best verse was from Pie, Might Delete Later. Lyrical ability on display with two other super high lyrical triple entendre ass rappers. He hung with them niggas, and that's not easy to do with Daylight and Ab-Soul. And he did his job. He knew the assignment and he stuck with the assignment. And I'm still saying that Pie is one of the best songs that came out in 2024. Argue with your mama. He just floated. Everybody floated on that song. Everybody was up here when that song dropped. And if you haven't heard Pie off Might Delete Later, go listen to it right now. So let's look at his 2024 body of work. Again, he dropped a mixtape with Might Delete Later. I think that's a mixtape, EP, whatever it is. Play the Collard Greens with Daylight. He dropped Blow for Blow with T Grizzly, which that verse people are talking about that verse right now. Ruby Rosary with A$AP Rocky. He dropped Free Fall with Tim's. Yes, that came out in 2024. I don't know if y'all remember that verse, but people was talking about that verse also. And Red Leather with Future on We Still Don't Trust You. That's a solid body of work for 2024 for a man who most definitely came out very strong, who we thought we were going to get the fall off from, and we still haven't heard anything about the fall off since. Now, my argument for him being MVP, of course, he's the only rapper rapping at this high level. People say Kendrick is. I would say they're 1 and 1A when it comes to rapping. I think Kendrick is rapping at a very super high level, but J. Cole is out here killing niggas with some of these entendres. I don't know if you guys heard the verse off of Play the Collard Greens, but that Michael Jackson bar was unbelievable. Unbelievable. He's had one miss. I mean, the Grippy verse with Cash Cobain. Everybody hated it. It didn't sound good. It was one of his worst verses, if you ask me. But everything else, top tier rapping. He's been putting out consistent music. We should be getting an album for him. Now, my argument against him being the MVP is he disappeared. After Might Delete Later, that nigga was a ghost. He wasn't nowhere to be found. We couldn't find him. The apology took a lot of momentum off of him too, because I think he was really gearing up to push Might Delete Later, and I think we probably could have got a November release if we could have been very consistent with him continuing to push the album. But after that whole situation with the Dreamville Fest and the beef, that nigga was riding bikes. He was with Trader Truth in New York riding bikes. We couldn't find him nowhere. So, I mean, and he did get doubted as one of the best rappers. After that whole apology thing and that Kendrick diss that went south, he really got doubted as one of the best. And people say you can't say that anymore. I beg to differ. If you hear the work that he's put out this year, he's still one of the top tier rappers out there. Putting on a crown, I don't know. But with his consistency with the verses, the raps, the top tier rhyming, like everything he's been doing this year, you kind of have to give the man credit for sticking with it and still being one of those people that say, I will watch you on your own song. So you got to give J. Cole a little bit of credit for what he's been putting out. And you cannot deny he should be on the list of being MVP for 2024. Last but not least, and I'm telling you the truth, Future has been everywhere in people's mind. The best thing I've heard somebody say was he has been the point guard for everything that's been happening in music in 2024. And I cannot, I have to agree with that statement. So the best verse that I heard from Future this year is Giving Chanel from the Meek Mill's Hedonism EP. If you haven't heard that verse, go find it. I know a lot of people haven't heard the Giving Chanel song because a lot of people didn't know that Meek Mill dropped an EP called Hedonism. Go find Hedonism, go listen to that verse. He actually had to rap on that record, and he actually gave a good bar. He gave some great bars on there. I think that's his best verse of this year. His body of work, I mean, We Don't Trust You, We Still Don't Trust You, Mixtape Pluto, the Giving Chanel verse on Meek Mill's project, promotion on the Vultures 2 with Ye and Ty Dolla $ign, Swear to God with T Grizzly, back to back with Nardo Wick, which I think is probably neck and neck with the Giving Chanel verse. Like that Nardo Wick song, fire. His free feature on there, fire. Flames. Killed it. Future's been consistent. My argument for him being MVP is he's got 3 number 1 albums this year in 1 year. He's put out more music than damn near every rapper that's done something this year. He's got a lot of music. He has the accolades to show that he has been putting in the work. I've been saying it all year. People might be talking about Kendrick, but Future is most definitely the MVP of 2024. At the end of the day, Future doesn't have he can't get in different bags like other rappers. Like J. Cole and Kendrick can most definitely switch up and get into a different bag. Future's pretty much a one-trick pony when you think about it. Love all the albums. He's put out great albums this year, but they are all one-trick ponies. Sorry. He just doesn't have the depth that a lot of other rappers on this list have. And that's sad because he has been putting out, again, he's put out the most music damn near any rapper has this year. I mean, you have to go into like the underground or independent rappers to be able to think about who's putting out more music than him. Mainstream wise, nobody's touching him. Nobody's been working as hard as him. When you think about it, the song that started the Drake Kendrick beef was on whose album? Future's album. like that was on Future's album. He has been the point guard for everything that has been going on in music. I'm just saying. He actually had a J. Cole verse on his album. We Still Don't Trust You. Anything that has something to do with beef with Drake, Future has been a part of it silently. Just saying. He has had, if that's not an impact on what's been going on in hip hop, I don't know what is. So with that being said, man, those are the candidates that I see being MVP. Me personally, I have to go with Future. Even though he has no depth to any of his music, even though I know his shit is party music, he does the same shit all the time. The shit just works for me. He's put out so much music. My playlists are so full with all of his songs from this year. It's ridiculous. I just feel like Future has just had one of the best years so far. Now, until I see an album from Kendrick or from J. Cole, I have to go with Future. I think Future is the MVP of 2024. Even though the lyrical ability is not there, nigga, he got slaps. He's got a ton of slaps. He's got a lot of music that I can fucking sit down and listen to and kind of move around with. And honestly, from top to bottom, from beginning till now, he has been super consistent. I think consistency kind of holds a lot more weight when it comes to thinking about what Future has done. But that's my pick for MVP. Let me know who you think is MVP. Who is your pick for MVP of 2024 in hip hop? Tell me in the comments. I love talking to y'all. And if it's somebody that I missed, or if you have your own MVP, man, put it in the comments. Let me know, guys. I appreciate y'all, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.